Alright guys, this might be my last take because I've done this like 12 times. In the previous one, I tried to email to myself, but apparently it was too much. So, hopefully I'll make this quick, but not crappy. And so what I chose to do is A Tale of Two Cities and the French Revolution. So, let's do this. Yep, okay. So, in A Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens portrays Madame Defarge as a cold-hearted revolutionary who is avenging what has happened to her family by getting rid of the aristocrats and anyone else who supported the monarchy. But little did she know she and her followers were becoming exactly like the aristocrats and the wealthy they were disposing. My question is, why did Madame Defarge dispose certain people, and how could she tell they were against the revolution and not for it? In another book I read, the protagonist had to wear a tricolor when she entered Paris to show her support for the king, even though she was English. If you would like to read the book, its name is Sauvé by Celia Reese. The theme of this documentary will be surviving the French Revolution and vengeance. To approach it, I want to discuss the significance of the tricolor. The French tricolor, before it became France's national flag in 1794 in February by the French National Convention, was a sign of a good relationship between the king and the city, or to say in other words, Paris reconquered by its king. The tricolor cockade was created in 1789. In the early days of the French Revolution, the three colors were initially brought together in the form of a cockade, which could be worn on one's hat, shoes, hair, and bodice. The Marquis de Lafayette was probably responsible for inventing the red, white, and blue cockade, which soon became compulsory for revolution in 1789, the year of the storming of the Bastille. The color blue represents Saint Martin, a Gallo-Roman officer, who shared pieces of his shirt with the poor, and the moment symbolized the duty of the rich to the poor. White stood for the Virgin Mary, then it stood for Joan of Arc, and even back then, it now represents the royal family. Red represents Saint Denis, the patron saint of Paris. Going back to the color white, Lafayette wanted it to nationalize the city from others and the blue and red colors, but still represent royalty. Blue and red were the arms of the city. There were a variety of styles that would indicate a various faction, but they weren't consistent. The styles varied by region or period. So think about it a bit. The classes were distinctly separated, but those who were for the king would be united under one tricolor cockade. If they were ever spotted with a cockade by a revolutionary or the vengeance herself, they would be cleanly cut soon after getting processed by the knitters when the blank documents were filled. Madame Defarge wasn't the only one to cause this reign of terror, as the citizens began to break into homes, beating people and stealing bread. Maximilien Robespierre once said, "Liberty cannot be secured unless criminals lose their heads," page 480 of our history book. With hasty trials, 15% of the prisoners were nobles, or the clergy. Another 15% was the mid-class, and the rest were peasants who were most likely put in for stealing food since the economy was bad then. But it's pretty clear that the heart of the French Revolution was the guillotine. To survive the French Revolution could be seen as difficult, with witnesses, spies, and pure hatred fueling the guillotine, as the citizens became suspicious of each other. It must have been worse for those associated with those who wore the tricolor, though. People must have almost overjoyed at the news of Robespierre's death at the hand of the Committee to Public Safety. And when the vengeance finally disappeared, sparing the girl with the golden hair, her husband and child, a loyal servant, a man with gray hair, but not without the murder of Mr. Carton. As you can imagine, wearing the tricolors was cultural at the time, but it did become a small factor in the traditions they now have in France, celebrating the revolution and the development of their nationalism. but the tricolor could also be taken as a political statement and a social unification of the classes, first and second, who supported the king. I have a few quotes for you guys, and I got it off this website that I will share with Ms. Bohon. And some of those quotes are: bread, more bread, and not so many words, the Paris women heckling the National Assembly. When the government violates the people's rights, then insurrection is, for the people and for every section of the people, the most sacred of their rights and the most indispensable of their duties. Marquis de Lafayette, 1790. Pity is treason. Maximilien Robespierre. Thank you. I think that was crappy, but we'll see. And we'll hope that this one will actually get through. And if not, I don't have to